Good morning. It's been a minute. Let's look at Kruleboyz tier list and see what we think. Okay, so should we just start with some obvious S's? I think Gobsprak is basically carrying this army right now. I think a lot of the reason that we're having so much success with Kruleboyz this season is because of Gobsprak. Gobsprak is like an S plus unit. So let's just get that out of the way. But first, a word from our sponsors. Just kidding. So I'm going to define what I mean by all these tiers so that if you disagree with me on where I'm placing these units, you have to do it by my own definitions of what these tiers are. So S is an auto include. If you're writing a Kruleboyz list, when you're first deciding what units are going to go in, you're going to start with all of these units, at least to some degree, before you even begin to think about what else is going into the list. They're just auto includes. A is very good, solid units that are likely to be in every list, but are not auto includes. B is going to be situational. So depending on your matchup, depending on the meta, depending on your local game store, this unit may or may not be included in your list. A good example would be a Merknob. A Merknob is not an auto-include. A Merknob is not a super good all-around unit. A Merknob is going to go into your list if a certain set of conditions are true, and if those conditions are true, then he becomes very good. So, like, for example, a Merknob might sneak into a list where you have a whole bunch of, like, you know, Seraphon or... who else? Techless. Not Techless, that's not what I meant to say. Zeech. Those are words and things, right? And then C tier is just kind of bad, right? Like, just kind of bad. Like, there's not really a situation that you would bring them in. And then F is actually just unplayable. To be honest, I don't think you even need this C tier. I think it's like they're auto-include really good all the time. They're really good and almost auto-include, but just all around like solid and good. And then you have like sometimes they're good, and then you have not ever good. Right? To me, that seems reasonable. And I'll change this color to red, and I'll change the text to black. Look at that. Oh, how cute is that? 4 tiers. I like it. Okay, so up next we got Vulture Boss. This is a killer boss on a corpse rip of Vulture, and to be honest, I don't want to put this thing into F tier. Like, I don't want to put it into F tier, but it might be F tier. I haven't seen a list with a Vulture Boss like forever. Like, it's literally been forever since I've seen a killer boss on a corpse rip of Vulture. I think right now they're actually unplayable. The only way that I think you could run a killer boss on a corpse rip of Vulture is if you, like, when you want to run 2 Vultures, a Gobsprak and a kill boss on Vulture, then you'd run this. Like some kind of Monster Mash Kruleboyz list, but I never, ever, ever, ever see it. I never, ever, ever see it. As opposed to a Snatcher Boss, which I see all the time. A Snatcher Boss is an S tier unit. You're going to include it in every single list that you write, and has incredible synergy with the rest of your army, right? It's just overall going to be fantastic. Swamp Boss, Scumdrek, I believe I would put at an A tier. So Scumdrek is going to be not an auto-include, but is going to be really solid whenever you do decide to include him. So this would be like if you're running a 2 Snatcher Boss list, and one of the Snatcher Bosses is not going to take any enhancements, then you can save yourself 10 points and run a Scumdrek instead. So this isn't like situational, right? It's not like against some metas and some matchups this is good. This is a perfect definition of an A. It's just like, if that's the kind of list that you want, this is going to be a super solid all-around great unit, but he's not an auto-include. A Breaker Boss I'll also put at A tier, so same kind of thing, right? It's like there's no situation that he's going to be good. He's just solid, good all around. Same thing with Gnash Tooth. A Gnash Tooth is going to be fantastic. Whenever he's in your list, he's going to be great, but he's not an auto-include. A Kill Boss on foot. This is a Kill Boss with a Stab Grot, is going to be F tier. I can't imagine why or when you would ever play this hero. I can't remember how many points he's worth. Kill a Boss with Stab Grot is worth 90 points. Wow, like I don't even know his points because, like, he's just never really played. He doesn't really do a lot. If you had a Okay, I mean, he does have a 3-up save, but yeah, there's just nothing here. For 40 more points for him to be a Gnash Tooth, or a Gnash Tooth, sorry, pronounce my THs there, like, is worth the points every time. It's the same kind of problem with the Vulture is that for 40 extra points, he becomes Gobsprack, right? For 40 extra points, he becomes a Gnash Tooth. So is the kill boss is just, the Gnash Tooth is going to be way, way better every single time. Swamp Kala Shaman, S tier. Swamp Kala Shaman, every list you're going to include a Swamp Kala Shaman. It's always super good. Yeah, don't need to talk much about that. Man Octocunin, F tier. Like, you know, obviously he's pretty trash. Killbow, I think a Killbow is like, it's either A or B. Is he good all the time? No. He's only really good. A Killbow is only really good if there's like a lot of large wounded monsters or whatever units in general in the meta that you're going to bring. I don't think that he's worth, like, there's going to be times where I'd rather have a unit of Hobgrots than a Killbow, right? And there's going to be times I'd rather have a Killbow than a unit of Hobgrots. I think it just kind of depends on like what you're up against, right? Like what you're expecting to play and what's in your meta. So I'd say that he's kind of B tier. Hobgrots are A tier. I think Hobgrots are fantastic. They fill their role incredibly well. They're a cheap screen. For 80 points, there's 10 of them. They can run and throw their little scrap grenades. Like, they're great. Hobgrots are our best unit. No, I'm just kidding. They're not. Point for point, I still think that the Swamp Kala Shaman is our best unit. Just how much, like, the lore of the swamp being as good as it is and poisons being as good as they are, I think that obviously a Swamp Kala Shaman point for point is our best unit. But Hobgrots are kind of a close second. Like, for 80 points, like, they bring a lot of value. They're kind of needed. I still wish they could be battle line. Bolt Boys are S tier. I don't think you're going to ever run a Kruleboyz list without running at least some Bolt Boys. Right now, the favorite, and it's been my favorite for forever. But what I'm still seeing in the meta and in lists is the 2x6 Bolt Boys. They pack so much kill potential. It's fantastic. Marshcrawler Slogoth is still an F tier unit. Again, I've said this in previous videos, but he's a Gloomspike Gits unit at this point, and that's okay. My friend, oh, that was a spike. My friend is playing Troggoths, and I was sort of encouraging him to paint my Marshcrawler Slogoth to go with his army, because he's gonna, you know, borrow this model, and it might as well just be the same setup as the Gits army and not as the Kruleboyz army, because he's not really a Kruleboyz unit, really, is he? Okay, Gutrippaz. Oh! Okay, so this is an interesting one to place. That's why I left it for last. Gutrippaz are automatically included in every single list. They have to be. That doesn't make them S tier. I don't know when they're good. They're I think that, like, I have improved my opinion of Gutrippaz. I used to think they were an absolute trash unit. I'm still not very happy with the unit overall. I think that our army lacks any kind of anvil. It lacks any kind of cavalry. So I'm still overall disappointed with this unit. But I don't think that they're F tier anymore. What do I think? So the question is, because they have to be included in every army, the real question is going to be, when are you going to want to include more than the minimum amount? And that's going to be every game, I think. I think every single game you want to include at least one unit of reinforced Gutrippaz. I think that's kind of where my opinion has settled on this particular topic at this particular time. So does that make them A tier? Because you're always going to want more than the minimum. They're good all the time, but they're not. Are they situationally good? You know what? I'm just going to place them in B tier. So the reason is because sometimes against the right opponents, against the right units, where they're getting that -1 to hit, they're actually not bad. But they need a lot of work. You need to give them elixirs, you need to give them Mystic Shield, you need to give them all out defense, right? You need to have them on 4-up saves, ignoring 2 rend, and getting their -1 to hit before they're really kind of doing anything. So against some matchups in some situations, Gutrippaz are actually not bad. But that's as high as I'm willing to bring them at this point. Okay, so there it is. There's my Kruleboyz tier list video. At S tier, we have Gobsprakk, Snatchaboss, Swampkala, and Bullpoise. I think that's very reasonable. At A tier, we have Scumdrek, Breakaboss, Gnashtooth, and Hobgrots, which again, I think that's pretty solid. I don't know where people would debate or argue on this. I feel pretty confident about this ranking. At B tier, we have Murknob, Kilbo, and Gutrippaz. Here, I could see some disagreement. I could see some people arguing for Gutrippaz and Kilbo both being in A tier. I would disagree, but I could at least understand those arguments, and I could say, like, yes, those... I can see where you're coming from, right? Like, I understand why you think they would go in A tier. And then at F tier, we have Vulchaboss, Killaboss with Stabgrot, Manok Dakunin, and Marshcrawler Slogoth. The only one in here I think might deserve a B tier is a Vulchaboss, right? But I can't really think of when you'd want to have this extra monster, right? Because you're already going to have to be running a Gobsprakk, so the value of a Vulchaboss goes down. Like, the value of a Vulchaboss goes down because the value of Gobsprakk it's so high. That's really what it comes down to, right? It's like, the extra 40 points is worth the Gobsprakk every single time. Oh my god, I'm dying. Wow. I didn't die. I'm still here. Whew. Okay, good. So, that's the end of the video. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and all that other stuff. And don't forget to wah. Wah.